What's up guys, it's Rosella here, and today I have a little bit of a different video for you. Basically what I'm going to be doing today is talking about my past voice acting roles. Now this is, unusual for my typical content, but I thought it would be a great reflection for me to kind of analyze and discuss different things that I've learned throughout the years of voice acting. Especially since I've kind of been on mostly in hiatus from voice acting for, really almost the past couple years. And now that I'm getting back into it, I feel like I could offer a lot of great advice for people who want to get into the voice acting scene on YouTube and honestly just talk about some really great roles and projects. So here we go. So before I get into some of the specific roles that I've done, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of stats. So my first ever audition for voice acting was September 19th, 2018. So I've been doing this for what? Oh my gosh. Was it almost 5 years? I don't know. I don't do math. I think it was, probably longer than 5 years now, if you don't count some of the breaks that I've taken. But that's a long time. And through the years, I have auditioned for approximately 120-ish projects. My document says 119, but I think I've auditioned for something else since then, for sure. But yeah, out of all of those 119 projects that you can actually watch on my channel that I've auditioned for, I have been cast officially in 29 of those projects. Now, there's a couple reasons for why there's such a big jump from auditioning for that many and, actually getting cast in. A big chunk of them is obviously, not getting into certain projects, which is a reality of a voice actor, but I wanted to put that in perspective for anybody who feels like they are struggling as a voice actor and just not getting cast in things. I will tell you, you will get rejected a lot, but there's light around the corner. You will have projects that will come your way that you never anticipated, and there will always be a door available for you. Another huge thing, and actually the main reason as to why I wasn't cast in over 100 projects, is because animation, as many of you know, is very time-consuming and very expensive, especially if you're doing a small kind of low-budget thing on YouTube where there's usually only one or a couple people making an entire animated series or attempting to. So a lot of times the creators decide that it's a lot more than they can handle, and they end up canceling the series, and sometimes not even casting the projects that they put out. So that's actually the vast majority of what that number comes from. So moving on with the stats of the 29 productions that I've been cast in, of those, the ones that have officially made it to the stage where there is a finished product of some kind that you can go watch on YouTube. This is either, I would say, typically at least an episode that's posted with my voice in the series. There are 7 projects over 5 years. So yeah, it's been a lot, and hopefully there's going to be more to come, and there's a lot of in-progress things that I don't know if they'll ever see the light of day, but I decided to only include things that have been included, so yeah, this is going to be really fun to talk about. Okay, so the way that I'm going to do this is I think I'm going to go in chronological order from the time that the first episode actually came out with the character. So my first ever voice acting credit came out April 21st, 2019 as the character Droplet in the series Wired Wrong. I cannot for the life of me pronounce the creator's name. I think I'm gonna butcher it, but it's something like Dragoji. I am so sorry if I said your name wrong, but they are amazing. I will link them and all the other creators down below. But yeah, this was a huge learning experience for me, and I think it's always gonna have kind of a special place in my heart because it was the first one and it taught me so much about voice acting. So Droplet's character in the show Wired Wrong was basically kind of an evil villain accomplice. She was sort of like a Harley Quinn type character, at least that's the way I kind of interpreted her. It was a lot of fun. I didn't have a ton of lines in this first thing that I did. I will say, fair warning, if you go back and you watch the episode where my voice is, you can definitely tell that I had no idea what things like sound quality were. So there's definitely a lot of moments where, there's background noise and stuff going on. So, you gotta be a little forgiving about that. So yeah, Wired Wrong essentially ended up being a pretty brief 1-episode thing that ended up happening. I'm not sure exactly why it was canceled, probably to, reasons I said earlier, like it's a big undertaking and, just like all that kind of thing. I'm not sure exactly why. But I will always pay homage to the one that started it all. If you haven't noticed, my profile picture on my channel is actually Droplet, kind of mixed with my channel name Rosella. It's something that the creator did to credit me, and I just love that it calls back to a time of history and kind of, a reflection of gratitude for the doors that it opened up for me, and it really gave me the confidence to go out and start pursuing other roles after it. All right, so moving on to the next project. This came out August 4th, 2019, and it was Mrs. Madrone's School for Monsters. I did one full episode of this, and then I also did, I think, lines for the second episode, which was partially finished, but you can watch the unreleased footage but never completed. This one was an absolute blast. I got to play multiple characters for this. The first one was this bully character. She was kind of an extra. That was fun. I guess at the time I had a thing for playing villains. It's just my nature, I guess. I'm a Slytherin, so makes sense. But no, it was a ton of fun. The story was adorable. It was about a young girl who kind of goes to a school for monsters, which I absolutely love. It was created by this amazing creator who I will unfortunately butcher their name. I think it is Elyonni tordesillas. They're amazing. You need to totally check out their stuff. Such great original characters. Very, very ingenious kind of script making, I should definitely say. But in addition to playing the bully character, I also played the title character, Miss Madrone, in Mrs. Madrone's School for Monsters. And this is probably one of the most fun roles that I've ever done. She had this real nasally teacher voice like this, and she kind of sounded like a mix between Raz from Monsters, Inc. and, my teacher from the Black Lagoon. So, oh my gosh. And she was actually a very, layered character too, which is something that I really appreciated while making this series. But yeah, she just had so much complexity as a character. She wasn't just this baseline, teacher figure character. Even the side characters in this were all just so much fun to watch. And if this story ever continues, I'm invested. I love this. Another really interesting thing about the series is this is the really only finished product that I've done where I'm voicing a non-animal character. I'm voicing, technically not a human, I guess one of them, the bully, is a human, but I'm playing more humanoid characters, which is really interesting and something that I would definitely like to do again. But yeah, this series is just darling. It is really underrated, and I think that you all need to hop on and watch this and hype this creator up because, again, I'm invested. I want to know what happens to the characters and this girl who goes to this monster school that really deals with a lot of complex issues for, an animated film on YouTube. There's undertones of racism with the monsters and the humans and just how we view people who are different than us. And it's really thought-provoking and really, really great stuff. So I highly recommend that this is one you check out. And also you can hear by amazing Mrs. Madrone and bully voices. Okay, so this next role I'm going to talk about is kind of interesting because technically there were other roles that I recorded for and auditioned for first, but I think that this is the one that just got the production out the fastest. So chronologically, the next one is going to be the role of Elyonni in the series Whitefall, which came out March 17th, 2021. I was in the second episode, and I think it's the 5th episode so far that's out that you can watch. They are great, great episodes. But yeah, this role was insane. This is by far, the biggest, craziest project that I've had the opportunity to be a part of. And it definitely came with its own kind of unique set of challenges for me. With one of those biggest challenges actually being the voice itself. So Elyonni is supposed to, I think, be a 12 to 13-year-old young girl, and that is not the casting type I usually get cast for. I typically get young males to older females as my voice type. So, yeah, her voice where it is does not really sit naturally where my vocal register does. So I kind of had to train myself to talk not just in like a higher voice or but to emulate a much younger person than I was, and just a much somebody who had a much different inflections and everything about her. But it was a really, really cool challenge. I honestly never anticipated that I would be even able to play this role, if I'm being completely honest. When I auditioned for this, it was at a time where I was just getting a lot of rejection. I was just kind of, at that point where I was just trying out for a ton of things and getting told no a lot. And this is kind of right before I think I went on kind of my hiatus for a little bit, just because I don't know. I think that the lack of getting roles to an extent contributed to me being a little bit burnt out, if I'm being completely honest. But one of the main reasons that I actually auditioned for this series in the first place was I was already a huge fan of Whitefall. I mean, Whitefall is unlike anything that is out right now, and I will tell you that. It is full of like magic, high action fantasy, super complex and compelling themes. Again, that you would just not expect from anything else. Like, this is really like professional quality level, and projects like Whitefall are really showing that, just because something is on an animated series on YouTube doesn't mean that it really can be great. And I give the creator, again, I cannot say anyone's name, but I think it's Chylk, so much credit for this, because this is just visually stunning. It is so cool to be part of a project that is as well thought out, and the world building is just so amazing in this series, and I really, really can't get enough of it. It's just so fun to play Elyonni, even though there are those challenges where I have to work really hard to do her voice and think about her mindset, because she is so different than how I am in real life. But I think that just really helps expand me as a voice actor. Being able to play a variety of roles and taking on those challenges is really, really important. But anyway, kind of going back to my thought process and what was going on at the time of this sort of audition, yeah, I had really low expectations when I was auditioning for this. It was more kind of like, I'm going to try, but it'll probably just be more of an experience thing. I think that there were over like 100 auditions sent in for this. And yeah, if I was going to get cast, I definitely was not expecting Elyonni, because she is so not typically what I get typecasted as based on my voice type. And so I kind of lost my mind in excitement when I got to be in this series, a series that literally, like, the first episode, I think has over like 800,000 views on YouTube, which is pure insanity and every bit deserved. This one was hard for me, though, because I remember going back and reading some of the comments after the casting call results came out, and there was like one or two that like wasn't like super positive, or they said that my voice was too mature or didn't fit the character. And I remember I kind of wrestled with that a lot. But if there's anything or that I can talk to anyone about who's a voice actor, is you're not going to please everyone with your voice. Some people may not think that you are the best fit, but at the end of the day, your voice is unique, and you should give it your own spin. And there is certain qualities that you can offer to a role that literally nobody else can, because you are so unique and so different. And go and try things that are out of your comfort zone. You don't want to get to a place where you're kind of just stuck doing the same thing over and over again. So just, hang in there. You never know when somebody is going to like what you have to offer. And it's not always going to fit, and that doesn't mean you're not talented, but there will be opportunities. And Elyonni was definitely a huge growth opportunity, and continues to be one for me to this day. Just teaching me to keep persevering and trying and explore different parts of myself that I didn't really know were there. Okay, so now we are moving on to a really interesting one. This is my role of Azure in the series Saturn's Rings. This came out July 26th, 2021. I was in the second episode of the series, and I also recorded all the lines for what was going to be episode 3, but that ended up getting canceled. But I believe that you can actually watch the storyboards with my voice on. That was released. And the creator's name is, I think, Hawkrine, and they had such an interesting and unique style to the series. I love the way that they integrated like untraditional colors into the characters. For example, my character was kind of this wolf-like character who also had like water bending abilities, and she was really, really cool. Such a complex, interesting character. She was the main antagonist for a series, so that was awesome, and she was just so interesting to dive into. First of all, she had a British accent, so it's the first and only role that I've done so far that is not an American accent. So that was a really interesting challenge to kind of play with the different levels and try to make it not sound as forced as possible. And I hope that if you go back and watch it, that it does sound natural, at least. Some of the things that made Azure just a really complex, interesting character is her ability to just manipulate and control others. It's kind of a bit of dramatic irony in the episode that she's in, because we see her, kind of talking really nice to the main protagonist, but behind closed doors, we know what she's about. We know, that she's got ill intentions. Especially her dynamic with her kind of second in command, Lyra, is so interesting to me because, Azure is probably one of the characters that I'm the saddest that I didn't get to do more of, because she was so interesting and I feel like the series had such potential. But yeah, I am glad that at least, we have the episode or a half that we do, because I think that it's definitely worth the watch, and it's definitely a character that I would love to revisit someday if that ever did happen. So yeah, Azure is a great one. Okay, so the next role is definitely a little bit of like a fangirl moment for me, admittedly. I played the role of Rock Chomp in the series Fox Scars, specifically in episode 9. Basically, what happened with this one, it was kind of interesting. I actually was a replacement voice actor for the original Rock Chomp who was in the previous episodes, and honestly, I was a huge fan of Fox Scars. I loved the story, I loved the characters and the world building, of course. And it was one of those things that I auditioned for this multiple times. I tried out for literally every single character. I knew I was going to do whatever it took to be a character on this show, because I love this show so much. As of right now, I don't know the status of it. I think it is potentially on hiatus for a while, so I don't know if you will ever hear my voice as Rock Chomp past this one episode. But regardless of how long I voiced this character, I was just, again, so excited to be in this series. I can't explain how cool it is. It's kind of how like Whitefall was, to have a series that you like to watch and then to get to like hear yourself be a part of that. It's really, really, really cool. But yeah, Rock Chomp had kind of a interesting challenge where I had to kind of emulate somebody else's voice, which is hard because typically when you're voice acting, you can kind of just make it your own and do your own thing. Whereas here I had to do something that was really, really specific, and you don't want it to sound so different that if somebody watched it, they could totally tell that, hey, these two people sound nothing alike, to the point where they may not even recognize the character. But I do really want to give props to the creator of the series Fox Scars, the Stormy Dragon, because they made a really long-lasting, nice series on YouTube. And I feel like that is hard to do right now. But yeah, I think that there's 8 or 9 episodes out, and they're all just a joy to watch. And all of the characters have such life and personality, and I love the feeling of this show so much. And Rock Chomp's kind of sweet storytelling nature was such an honor to bring to life. And I honestly just had a blast doing it. I definitely would love to be in a series with this creator, or something similar to this again, because it was honestly just nothing but great. Okay, so moving on down the line, we're going to be talking about my character Jax in Phantom Eyes. This is kind of an interesting one because it's like one of those ones I was talking about where I actually recorded the audio for this character like ages ago, like years ago, and the episodes like are released later. So whenever an episode or something comes out, I'm like, oh yeah, I did do that voice, and I kind of get reminded of that, which is really fun with this character. But yeah, so I was in episodes 2 and 3, and I believe 5 so far with Jax. The first episode that I was in premiered November 12th, 2021. And one thing that I want to say about this series is I knew right away when I auditioned for this that it was going to be something special. The creator, Biddie Bones, was just so involved in this process, and you could just tell they love this story, which I think is amazing. When the creator puts such time and attention to detail and thought behind the characters of the story, I feel like that really, really comes through. And the thing that I love the most about Jax as a character is that he is so well developed. Even though he is, I guess, more of a minor character that doesn't appear every episode, every single character in this series has depth and complexity. They're not just there to be there. They're there to serve a purpose. And I think Jax taught me a lot about character development as well. But yeah, I was able to really kind of connect with Jax in an interesting way. He's a character, you know, he cares about his brother, and I feel like he wants to do good and he wants to protect him, but at the same time he's kind of has these fears and reservations and that cause him to make bad decisions, and he really feels like you know, real. And that's something that I love about this series, is just the realness of it. So that is something that I think a lot of us could take lesson from, and it's a huge part of voice acting. Is we need to remember we're not just spewing out lines and using techniques. We're supposed to portray real actual people, or even if it's a wolf, or it doesn't matter what you are, we're still really assigning human experience and emotion to these characters. So that's something that was really cool for me to kind of emulate and try to bring out as much as I could with Jax. So the last role I'm going to talk about is the most recent one to have premiered so far, and that is the character of Forrest in Lost Loyalty. This was a 1-episode series that was officially released, and it came out November 14th, 2021. This was a really big milestone in terms of my voice acting because it was my first published leading role. And the funny thing is, originally that wasn't supposed to be the case. I was originally cast for a separate character. It was like an older motherly kind of character. But I guess they had the original voice actor drop out, and I was brought in to fill that role, and then I ended up not voicing that other character to avoid confusion. But yeah, this was a really cool experience. It was a lot of work. Because this character, throughout this entire episode, has so many lines. But when I go back and I listen to a lot of the things I've done, I feel pretty proud of, like, the lines that I produced. I feel like I created a very believable character, and I was able to kind of use and emulate some of the acting things that I had learned in the past with characters like Jax and Elyonni to kind of bring him more to life and make him more believable, and just really experiment and kind of play around with a character like Forrest. There were several challenges that came with voice acting Forrest. First of all, I think that he is a character that for me sometimes would be similar to roles that I've played in the past. So what came to me is, how do I differentiate, especially with my voice and my acting, to make it not sound too similar to things I've done in the past, because he is kind of that young male who's trying to find himself in like a coming of age story, and I wanted to make sure that I brought unique qualities to my voice to not just have somebody go back and watch something that I've done previously and be like, hey, this sounds pretty similar. But in the end, I feel like I was able to kind of bring those intricacies, especially when it came to like his insecurities. That was a really cool thing to explore. But yeah, it was cool to sit down and watch an episode, quite honestly, and just like watch the whole thing and feel like, oh, I actually feel like I'm in a substantial amount of this instead of just like bits and pieces, you know, which maybe is a little bit selfish, but I think it's a cool experience. And I again wanted to just like go here and hype up the creator of this. I'm sorry, names are a struggle, but I think their name is turtlzdotzom, and they really gave it their all with this, and I just appreciate that. It is so hard for creators to get out here and produce an entire animated episode, and they did it with a lot of love, and they did it with a lot of, just passion for this project, which I truly appreciate. And I think that people should just go out there and just create the stuff that they want, because it's amazing. So that's it. That's where we are now. You'll notice that a lot of the dates I gave show that, it's been a while since I've had some things come out. So I'm definitely excited for this new chapter, being back from my break, totally just giving my all and trying new projects and learning new things, because I feel like I'm just at the verge of really blossoming and exploring some different crazy things. So look out for some new auditions I'm going to do. Also, if you guys kind of like this content of me more so talking about voice acting and stuff, I would love to do potentially like a tips video where I go more into detail on some things that have helped me get auditions and roles and stuff, and just general tips for voice actors. So let me know if that's something you're interested in, but until next time, I'm out.